Hello, students. Hope you are doing well. So, here we have a passage. On the basis of the passage, we find out uh, the directions for questions are given here. There is a passage below is accompanied by a set of questions. We need to choose the best answer to each question. Well, before I jump to the question, so I assume that what you must have read the text. So, yet I would like to give a small details about the text, so which will help you to understand and also make sure that whether your answers are correct or not. Well, if I look into this text, the text discusses common plot devices in storytelling, isn't it? So, the common plot devices in the storytelling, including the MacGuffin. So you can also say does ex machina. Uh, you also find out that um, and various other elements. It defines the MacGuffin as an object of or character that drives the action of the characters, but whose actual nature is unimportant to the story. It also mentions that MacGuffins are frequently used in quest, right? Quest means search, fantasy stories. So, Deus Ex Machina is introduced as a narrative ending involving an improbable event that resolves difficult situation and leads to a general happy conclusion. The text, you can say that provides an example from Greek tragedy, Greek tragedy. So, to illustrate this, you can say that the concept. Additionally, the text explains the use of plot devices in Agatha Christie, right? Um, it also pointed about the use of plot devices in Agatha Christie's book and discusses other forms of plot devices, such as objects that help the protagonist escape difficult situation, um, or one of elements that move the story forward, isn't it? Now, in that case, if you look into this particular text, so the main idea of the of this particular text is what is to introduce and you can say that explain various plots, right? What does it do? It does nothing but um, it explains, introduce and explain various plot devices used in storytelling, ranging from the, you can say that MacGuffin, so to MacGuffin to, you can say that does does X does X machina, right? So, and other narrative elements. It highlights how these devices can be used to advance the plot, resolve complex situations, or create interesting twists in stories. So, that is what you can talk about main ideas. Now, if I talk about the argument of the text, so what I can find out in the argument of the argument from the passage, the argument within the passage is primarily, you can say that, descriptive in nature, providing information about these plot devices and their usage in storytelling. It doesn't present a specific argument, but rather educates reader about this. You can say that narrative tools, isn't it? So, if you look into the conclusion of the text, so what we can draw here, the conclusion of the text doesn't provide a decisive argument, but rather ends with what? Uh, ends with an explanation of characters, how characters, characters, how characters can be made more interesting if authors provide them with backstories and possible motivations for their actions. And beside argument, conclusion, and main ideas, so there is an idea called tone. Now, if I talk about the tone of the passage, I could say that the tone of the passage is informative, informative, and expository. Sorry, explanatory, isn't it? Explanatory. So, as it seeks to educate readers uh, various various blood devices and their roles in storytelling. Therefore, okay. So, if I talk about the style of the text, yes, the style of the text, like I pointed, explanatory or expository, offering definitions and examples of different plot devices and their functions in narrative. So I hope you have got a good idea about the text. Now, let's look into the question. What is the question it asked? So it asks a question: which of these would not be a plot device according to the author of this passage? Now, if I look into this, if I jump to the answer to this question, what is the question it asked? It asked the question that Koldacha, which of these would not be a plot device according to the author of this passage? So we need to identify some examples and we need to make an analogy to it. Now, if I look into the first one, an attendant at the petrol pump who points in the right direction, the kidnapper's car to, right? So, based on information from the passage, a plot device is something that additionally move to the story but doesn't exercise any other influence on the plot or characters. Therefore, uh, we can look into means each of the answer options and analyze and see that which of the option is better. Now, first option said an attendant at the petrol pump who points in the right direction the kidnapper's car to. And second option stated a retired police officer who foils a bank heist planned by his son-in-law but loses his life in a shootout. Then third, a magical wardrobe that four children enter to find another world. And four, the Roman god of war appears on the 500th day of the epic battle between two warriors and pronounces his judgment. Now, if I look into this, option one, option three, and option four, right? So they can be ruled out. Why they can be ruled out? Now, because the attendant at the petrol pump, the attendant at the petrol pump only gives the protagonist key information and doesn't exert or force any other influence. If I look into the option three, right, the magical wardrobe uh, functions only as a gateway and doesn't have any other purpose. Option 4 stated the Roman god of war appears. Now, in that case, the Roman god of war is introduced to put an end to a battle that seems to be, you know, escalating. It's escalating into a tragedy, isn't it? So, but at the same time, what do you find out? Mm, What do you find out? The police officer has a background story. The police officer has a background story. He is a retired. The bank robber is his son in law, and the role he plays in foiling the attempt of the heist indicates that he is a character and not just a plot device. Hence, you could say option 2 would be the most appropriate answer option in connection to the question, right? Therefore, we will take it answer option 2. I hope you understood it. That's all. Thank you. Let's move to the next question.